Hello, welcome back to the This Is Me podcast. I'm Karen.
And I'm Ellie, and today we have Lisa joining us, and Lisa is a hypnotherapist. So Lisa, yeah, you are. So first and foremost, thank you for talking with us today. To kick us off, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Okay, so I'm a hypnotherapist, and I got into it because when I turned 30, I think I turned 30 back then, and I was fat, overweight, sort of stuck in a rut. And I was 3 stone overweight, so I wanted to lose weight. And I tried everything, by Monday afternoon, I started a diet every Monday morning.
Yeah.
By Monday afternoon, I'd given up. If I got to Thursday, that was really good. And I just couldn't I know what I needed to do, but I couldn't do it. And then the idea of hypnotherapist came up, and I was really quite skeptical, but I was sort of a bit desperate and give anything a go. And I went, and from my very first session, I started doing what I wanted to do. And it was just incredible. It was like magic, really. And it was amazing. And I lost my weight, and I probably had about 5 sessions all in all, 5 or 6 sessions. And but it also changed me as a person, because it's quite holistic, really. And I'd never really I didn't really even like that word. I mean, even hypnotherapy was a bit airy-fairy to me, back then.
Yeah.
And but actually I'm much calmer. I come from quite an angry household, so sort of a bit frustrated and angry, and all that just went. And I became a much calmer person. I was also quite a faddy person. I'd start something, and do it for a couple of months, and then I'd give up, and then I'd move on to the next thing. And suddenly I was sticking to things and continuing what I did. So that's when I very first used it. And then when I turned, so on another loop, but then I turned 45, and I started getting fitter. So a friend of mine asked me to do a 10K wolf run with some people at work. And I said, honey, I can't even run a mile. So I'm like, I'll help you, she said. She's one of these really lovely people. And I remember turning up at her doorstep with these really old tracky bottoms. Her husband answered the door, who's in the military and stuff. And I know he just looked at me and thought, oh my goodness, what is that? Yeah, which is fine. And but she helped me, we started off at a mile, or not even a mile, and we just continued up. And
you started off at a mile. Nice one.
I probably, was it a mile? I don't know, but yeah.
Felt like a mile.
Oh, it's hard work, isn't it? I mean, it is really hard work, but I just I kept going, and I kept at it, which again, in the past I wouldn't have done. And then we did the wolf run, and then I had a bad knee. So my knee didn't really like it. So I started biking, and I got Annie on the bike, and we started off like at 20 miles. And then that summer we built it up to like 100 miles. And then I cycled, like I didn't know whether I would be able to or not, but there was advertised something cycling to London to Hamburg, which was 4 days of 100 miles. And I was thinking, oh, can I do it? Can't I do it? Annie wasn't able to do it with me. Anyway, I signed up, and I turned out to be the only girl on it. But actually I was all right. It was quite good. I thought it was going to be really useless. It's quite flat land now. I know now that I'm like good on the flat, but so I sort of got fit, and then that just sort of took me on. And then somebody suggested that I try and qualify to cycle the Gran Fondo and to do the like World Championships, which is in Australia. And I was thinking, and then the girl that was talking to me, she was really good, Deb. She was like, she's up there. And just was amazing. I said, Deb, I can't. And she said, imagine wearing the GB kit. So that was like, I was thinking, oh, that's like seed sown. And, I thought I'll just try. I mean, I wanted to stay fit. It gave me a goal to work for. I never, ever really thought I'd do it. But, I was going to try. I was going to try my hardest. People who I cycled with, they were all saying, well, even if you cycle at this speed, it'd be quite good. And I was thinking, yeah, it will, it will still be quite good. And during that, I revisited the hypnotherapist because I needed to lose a bit more weight. I mean, only a stone back then, but if you're lighter, you cycle faster. So and at that point, and I didn't really like my job and that, and suddenly at that point, I thought maybe I can do this. So I qualified. I did qualify in the end, which was very exciting. and I went out to Australia, and then I came back and I started my training. So that's how I
your
quit.
hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
spoke to somebody the other week, didn't we, Brenda, who she qualified for an England vest in the London Marathon, but she was Scottish. So she said it was like, she was really proud, and like Scotland was like aghast. No, that was a joke.
Yeah. So what was this? So when you had come back from the cycling, what was it at that point that had made you go, okay, so I'm gonna train in hypnotherapy now?
So I was working with the police on the phones, and I've been doing it for about, I don't know, 8 years, and I didn't
like as
it.
a dispatch sort of caller, or like
I wasn't in the
911. I
control
nearly
room,
said
so
that.
I was just, I'd answer any calls, so 111 or 999.
Fascinated by that job.
Well, it was quite good. You get a lot of boring calls.
I can imagine.
You get a lot of people that you're thinking, really,
get off the phone.
Yeah. This is an emergency line.
I'm a bit blunt and quick, so I'd often get told off that maybe I needed
get
to
the cat down yourself.
So, but I just, I mean, it's quite, there's loads of politics in there, and I don't really fit into that environment. I loved it for the first 5 years probably, and then it just wasn't working. And even then, I knew I wanted to change my job, but I had no idea what else I could do really. And I was thinking, what could I do? And I always say to people, if you want to change and you don't know what to change, just think what you'd like to do. And this is how shallow I am, so I'm probably letting myself down now, but I actually thought I'd quite like to be a lady that lunches and
I don't think that's shallow. I think that's perfectly fine.
Doesn't do too much. Anyway, then I went to the hypnotherapy and I thought I could do this. So I looked into training, and it's just a case of taking that opportunity, isn't it? So I trained alongside my job, but I was so desperate to get out of my job that our training was set up. We did it over weekends for 10 months, and we had to have case studies and things. And halfway through the course, you would have case studies, and you started charging half price for it.
Yeah.
And then when you qualified, you charged full price. And I think, I said to my husband, I need to give up work now. And he was going, well, you can give up work when you qualify, can't you? And I was thinking, I can't bear it anymore. I can't bear it. Yeah. So I think that was August time. And then, so I was thinking, well, that means I can leave at August. Well, August really means July, doesn't it? So that means I can leave in July. And then when I was sort of thinking about July, I was thinking, well, that's June, isn't it, really? So
actually, I might as well do May because it's before the summer.
Didn't quite get to May, but I got to June, so I left in June.
Did you?
Which was amazing. And I'd never
how did people, when you told people that you were going to, because the two jobs are, like, I'm going to call them jobs, are like polar opposites, aren't they? So when you were telling people, I'm going to do hypnotherapy, what were they like?
Well, originally people sort of roll their eyes and say, really, you're going to be a hypnotherapist? And I mean, I don't know. I didn't know whether I could do it or not, did I really? But it was amazing. And then again, I was telling you about my first case study, which just was amazing. A woman that would have panic attacks for 3 hours at a time on a daily basis. And she was someone that I didn't know really well, so I had no idea about that. And that just shows you, we never have any idea what's going on in people's lives. So we must always be kind. Anyway, she came, and she was my very first person, and I was really faffy, and I just did what I was told, and I did the basics. And 8 sessions later, she didn't have any panic attacks. She was off her medication. I mean, we're not supposed to get involved in medication, but she wanted to come off it.
Yeah.
And she insisted, and well, she's good to this day. And
isn't it?
Yeah, it's so amazing. So and going back to your question, what did people say? Well, originally they said, really, you're going to be a hypnotherapist? And then you start getting people coming up saying, oh, Lisa, I've got this problem. Do you think hypnotherapy could help me? I've thought about it before, but I really trust you. And, even that sort of challenged my own belief in myself, because I sort of come from like a bit of a negative household, really. So like I was thinking, they really trust me. How, and they weren't someone that I knew particularly well, I knew of. And I was thinking, You know, they've obviously, and so slowly as you do it more, I mean, you just got to own anything that you do, haven't you? Because initially, and I think that's the trouble, we're so worried about what society says. I think I'm followed quite a bit of Stephen Bartlett at the moment. He pops up on my Facebook on a regular basis, and you know, he was saying so many people don't do something because Joe Boggs down the road might laugh or poo-poo it, or you know, why are we really caring about them?
Yeah.
You know, and the
it
more
is crazy because they're not. It's your perception of what they're thinking. Like they are likely not thinking about you at all. You know, like in the nicest way possible. They're probably not thinking about you and what you're
and that
doing.
leads me on to recently. You know, there was an experiment done, and I can't remember who did it now. I can find it out. But because again, everything is about perception. Everything is about perception. So if you come from a massive, lovely household that love you and think you're brilliant and always I mean, imagine the confidence that you would have. And then you come from a household that, you know, maybe is not quite like that, bit negative. Maybe they're even trying to help you, but they've just got it wrong. And there's so many different levels, isn't there, of what you can be. And that creates your perception. And there was an experiment done, and they wanted to sort of test this idea of perceptions, and they got some participants in, and they had theatre makeup artists, and they put a scar on their face, and you know, they were told that they've got to go out in the world and see how differently people perceive you when you've got a scar on your face. So they had the makeup put on, and they were shown what it looked like. And then just before they went out, they were told they just needed some touch-ups and they just needed to do something else. And actually, they removed the scar. Right. So the scar wasn't there. And they just went out as themselves. And they all came back with negative feedback, saying, you know, some people ignored me, some people stared, some people... And again, it's crazy. It's just our perception. And
it really fascinates me where that comes from, because that I always think I would never be a good security guard, like in a month, or like say if you witnessed something and the police said, what did the person look like? I'd be like, ooh. Whereas some people are like, oh, that person was looking at me, that person was like, and I wonder where that comes from, because it's just really interesting. That's your frame of reference, isn't it? Do you know, like the look, I'm like that. And we can talk a little bit about this later, because, you know, I had some hypnotherapy with yourself, and I remember talking to Lisa about I'm like that when I go into a gym class. And I think everybody's looking at me because I am so uncoordinated. It's utter nonsense.
No, it is, but I understand why you're thinking. But also, every single other person in that class is thinking the same thing as you. Like, it's everyone's bizarre. Going in there going, everyone's looking at me. Like,
we only care about ourselves. We don't really care about anybody else. We only care about ourselves. That's really awful, but that's the reality. It's all about us. So, and my friend, you talk about that gym thing. I've got a friend, actually, the fire college has got a gym locally where we used to go years ago, and it used to be like quite a box, so you'd only have like a couple of rowers, couple of runners in, and there were all the firemen going in there, and then there was a few free weights. And she was in there using the gym on the runner, and she said she fell off. She made quite a clatter, and she got up, and there was a fireman running next to her, you know, fit fireman, look at himself. She said he didn't even notice I'd fallen off. he didn't even notice. She said you never worry about anybody looking at you.
Exactly.
But we also perceive, you know, we look at people, don't we, who are fitter than us, and we think that they think that we look slow. But actually, generally, the fit people know what it takes. Yeah. They know the dedication that it takes. And even if you're not in shape and, you know, you are wandering down the road a little bit, they're thinking good on you, because at least you're trying to, you know, you're trying to change yourself. And they would have probably seen people that have changed themselves.
And they've probably changed themselves as well. So they've done it, they know.
Yeah. So it's all in our own head.
What are the most, like, I think it's really interesting how your business grew like that, like, you know, people that knew you, inspect you. What are the common things that people present with to you? It's terrible English. Do you know what I mean?
Anxiety.
Is it?
Anxiety. Everything is anxiety based. And so anxiety is my bread and butter. Anxiety is generally really easy to get to. Anything on your fight and flight. So anxiety is just our bodies getting us ready to run. If you can't run, you've got to stand and fight. And depression, you sort of go in the cave and try and wait for stuff to change. And anxiety is really easy. Anxiety people are usually people that they're often people pleasers. They've usually decide life is all their fault. You know, they take blame for everything. And it's just unpacking all that.
Yeah.
And getting them forward.
How do you like because my background is coaching, how do you like know if there's a safeguarding or an ethical issue? How do you determine that? Is that when you first meet someone? Because that's difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult. I mean, people that I haven't really had any safeguarding issues really. You know, I quite like being private and, you know, people can come in and it's a safe space. You know, I'm not having to write to their GP at their first, admission, because we all have thoughts, and actually it's just a freeing space and being able to turn them around. Obviously, if there was some major issues and I thought there was a danger, then I would be contacting their GP and stuff. But it's just nice to have a free space. You know, people come in because they want help.
Yeah.
Don't they? Yeah. You know, they're not.
What do you think it is about hypnotherapy that makes it stick, if you will? Like, what do you think?
It's the trance. We get to the subconscious. And it sounds all really bit weird, doesn't it? And it probably is a bit weird. Like you say, Karen, I don't know how you found it. I mean, it's lovely weird, but it is a bit strange.
Yeah. Well, for background for people listening, I had, I won't go into the whole detail because I'll be having another session with Lisa, but mine was about a fear of going to the opticians, which if you knew me, you'd think, what on earth is going on there? So I got to the end of my tether because I didn't know why it was. You know, I'm quite irrational. And I felt when I was in it, I thought I was like, I was a bit worried because the first time I saw a hypnotherapist was probably back in the early 90s, where they made you look like chickens and things. You know, be like a chicken. I was thinking, what am I going to say to this poor woman?
Yeah.
But I thought it was like, it's a really good question for people who are listening, because it's nothing to be nervous about. It's really relaxing. Yeah. You think you think you're there, but you're not there. And I would say I was nervous.
Because you also think you're handing over control as well, don't you?
Good point. Yeah,
whilst you feel like you are, you never are. It's never like, and
I can't.
You'll know. You have to say it,
and I can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. If you didn't want to do it, and actually, your example then is really quite key of the people that we get in. So people want something different. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to go to the opticians, for goodness sake, shouldn't you? You know? And so it didn't make sense. And it's when it's irrational. And I really like that. When you've got irrational things going, you know, anxiety, often people can't go out. They question their friends. They get sort of stuck, and they know it's irrational, but they sort of get all in knots about it, and they cannot just get over it. And that's where I come in. I come in when you want to do something, but you can't get there. And there's some block that doesn't make any sense. You don't know yourself, really, why you can't get there. But
because if you did, you wouldn't be there, would you?
Yeah. And I really,
You'd have a pair of glasses that didn't fall off when you did downward dog in yoga. I mean, hello, let's be truthful about this.
Yeah. No, but it's true,
And again, but people know that some people are just stuck and just know they feel bad, and then we have to talk around it. I work a bit differently now. So my basic training is very much solution focused. We need to know where we want to go, you know, and like think of your brain like a sat nav. And, you know, if you need to go up to London, you don't type in, I don't want to go to Birmingham. So a lot of people know what they don't want, but they don't know what they do want. So it's getting, you know, and even then when you're sort of pointing it out to you, what do you do? Well, I'd wake up in the morning, I wouldn't have this feeling. So if you didn't have this feeling, what would you feel differently? Oh, yeah, well, yeah, well, it just wouldn't be there. And so what would you be doing? How would you be feeling? And it's sort of bringing that out of them. And then other people know how they want to be. And again, they just can't get there for whatever reason. And so we can do a lot solution focus, but sometimes when you sort of get stuck with clients, and so in the last sort of year or so, maybe 2 years, I'm a fan of taking people back into their childhood, and it's really fascinating.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. And it's like those, like traumas, but traumas, people think of, something disaster, being attacked, or, stuff like that, but it can be normal, it can be normal life. It can be, you were little, you were 2 or 3 and you were going around the supermarket and you lost your mum and dad, and maybe some stranger came and helped you, and you didn't know where you were, and it was really terrifying for you then. So sometimes it can be really little things.
Hypnotherapy as well was I don't mind using my example. I won't tell all of it. It was really normal stuff, but I decided what had caused my issue with my glasses. It was because I went through breast cancer, and I thought it was because of that. It was nothing. So in the rational world, you determine what it is, and it was so wrong. And then it made complete sense to me. So you can almost forget it. And then what I thought was really interesting about it is you did something else where I was very angry with some people. And like, I am a little bit of a people pleaser, don't like conflict, but I was
a little bit.
A tiny bit, a little tiny bit. On occasions, it's been known.
It's been known to happen,
And it was really awesome for me where you're able to say what I felt about these people. So I would say to anybody, it's really safe, really, really safe. And then you can forget about it. It doesn't matter anymore.
So, and that, this taking it back, I mean, and again, taking it back. So like, I'm personally a bit dyslexic, so I feel really passionate about schooling for dyslexics, the amount of people, and again, people with ADHD, they're put in a schooling system, and they're, told to stand up and read when they can't read properly, and they stutter, and then they got their, that's like horrendous. There's a lot of people that comes back to that moment, and they have anxiety from that sort of thing. A school teacher, telling you something, someone recently, the school teacher, and again, they're really, really lovely person and good, but, at a young age, she was told that she had to do 100% in her homework. And so she was really worried about that. And from then on, she always worried about homework and exams. And when you can get back to that moment, like you say, then it almost all makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And and so the framework that I use for doing that is designed by a woman who works a lot with PTSD, and she was a journalist and worked out in Afghanistan. And so she was out there with all the combat, and because she was a hypnotherapist as well, they were saying you need to help these people. So she did lots of research, and actually, because I used to think, and again, I don't actually, if you have PTSD, maybe you're not very resilient. Maybe you haven't had too many knocks and been come through it. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's obviously a different level anyway, isn't it? So I would never. But actually, the people that struggle to get over these things are people that are resilient. They've had knock after knock after knock. And it's almost like that first knock, there's sort of still a bit of a child in you that's still struggling. And then if you think about the Russian doll, and you're still struggling, but you get on, you're all right. And then, obviously in their case, it's like a massive bomb, but it can just be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And it's almost, and if you can get back to that very first time that you struggled, because it's almost like that part of you is still trying to keep you safe. And if you can get there and release the emotion from it, then it all sort of makes sense. And then you can sort of let it go. And it is really powerful. And like you say, just anger and stuff. And a lot of people say, well, I'm not really angry. But actually, if you've been treated badly or something has happened, you should be angry, shouldn't you? So if you're not angry, or haven't had that anger about it, then you're probably swallowing it down in your body somewhere along the line.
And anger can come out in many different ways, can't it? It can be anger where you're angry, do you know what I mean? Or anger where you're sad, or something.
Just
and
can't.
then you can see how it it becomes like fighting a losing battle, because as Karen said, well, she'd rationalized it so that it was, well, it's this clearly and obviously this is why, which does make total sense, because it very well that is the rational reason.
Well, and that probably was a midbrain breast cancer is a bit more than a straw, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that probably was the breaking point.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Sorry, I was thinking about when you started talking about the Russian doll, and I think that Russian dollar analogy is used in loads of inappropriate ways, but that really made sense to me, because I think you're right. That was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. But it wasn't that, and I think that's a really
and you've been like trying to work on that, and that's never going to solve the issue, because it was never the problem to begin with.
It's really interesting. Do you think this is a question that I don't know? I was reading something the other day about somebody who is in one of the people I know has written a new book on imposter syndrome, and she's called it the imposter phenomena.
Okay.
Because what she was talking about.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought I quite liked it. But then I was thinking, in a hypnotherapy perspective, what do you think about imposter syndrome? What do you think about it? Is it a syndrome? Is it a phenomenon? Is it a thing?
Yeah, it's just anxiety, isn't it? It's just anxiety.
We called it something. Do you know?
Well, because we call everything a name. See, I don't care about names. I don't really care what people come to me with. But it's just an anxiety. It's not feeling good enough, isn't it?
Yeah. No,
it's not feeling good enough.
Going to say.
And again, that not feeling good enough, if you've never really been appreciated, or, that's really powerful. School, you were never good enough. You were always told off, that stays with you.
Yeah.
I'm really conscious now. So I've got a grandson. He's 2. He's the most delicious thing ever.
Delicious.
And, but I'm really conscious, and I can really see now, it's really good having him, actually, how language is really important. My mum is a bit old school, and probably she won't like me saying this, but he fell over. He was playing with this rocket thing, and then he tripped over, and these of us are tough, so he got back up and went, oh dear, and then she was going, oh silly Oliver. And I was thinking, why do we need to call him silly? Yeah. Why can't we say? And again, that's, it's okay on a one-off, isn't it? But if you're always the silly one, or you're always the stupid one, or you're always the clumsy one.
Yeah, and he doesn't even really know how to walk.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you're always the one that you then, when we get these criticisms, we take it, we get angry with ourselves more than anybody else. And so, somebody who's always been called clumsy, they might not spill a glass of water any more than anybody else, but they knock a glass of water over and then instantly think, oh God, I'm stupid, rather than they've just knocked a glass of water over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, so all these labels that we're given at school and by parents
throughout
and
life,
sometimes even really innocent things. They're meant, they're not, my mum was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
But she doesn't get it.
I think there's a lot of people that don't get it. You don't know what's going to stick, do you?
Yeah.
Because as you say, it doesn't have to be this huge traumatic thing.
Yeah.
But the tiniest little thing can stick, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we used to work with, we sort of still do, but with vulnerable girls, and we had a program called No Labels, No Limits, which was interesting in itself.
Yeah.
But what it really came to me was, actually, I was the architect of that in my family, and my youngest daughter, I would call her Mad Isabel.
Yeah.
And I thought, God, and being an identical twin and growing up all of those years with Leslie's the angry one. Karen's this one, do you know, it's like, oh my God, so I really, really try now not to put labels. It's so hard.
It is, and and I think like with my mum and that, they did the best with what they had, and I think when we take people back, it's not with judgment, and sometimes actually, who knows what was right and wrong in that situation that could have happened. And, if it was parents did the best they could with what they had at the time. Even bad parents, well, maybe they just don't have that capacity.
Yeah.
And that's all they have, you know. And so, but what we want to do is detach the emotions and enable you to be able to deal with it going forward. And when you detach the emotion and you can just see it more black and white, then you can move on. And hindsight, you know, and again, nice people, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it is rose tinted. You know, we don't actually know if we dealt with it differently, if it would have been different.
Yeah.
You know, and then it might have come with another load of situations. You know, I think
hindsight's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. And I think we just have to just know that we did the best. I mean, I know I certainly wasn't perfect. And I often think, you know, if you haven't been perfect, then just own it.
Yeah.
Well,
just
and
say
nobody
I'm
has
sorry.
Either. What an expectation, do you know what I mean? Because there's not a person on the planet that's been perfect.
No. But what's really important is that you do own it, and you own that truth. And you can say, you know, sometimes I say to my daughter and my son, I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. But because you're validating their truth, and then you're moving on, you know.
It's really interesting, isn't it, when you work with people and people, I won't say who it is, but there's a divorce happening at the minute, not in this family or anything. And the person who's done the wrong thing isn't owning. They're sort of saying, I wish I...
Any part of it,
They're not owning it. They're not saying, that was the choice I made. And, you know, and actually I've not realised how it has impacted people. And I think it's really interesting when you listen to people's language about it. So, and I think what I think is great about hypnotherapy is you don't have to have that guilt or like, you know, like you don't feel guilty about what you did. You just, that's interesting. That's a different perspective. And then you go back to the lovely cave with all the sparkling crystals, which is my favourite place for anybody that's listening. But it's really great because it is, you're like watching a television. It's like you're not in the emotions, which I think today there's such a lot of like vulnerability in this world and, you know, like judgment that I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, what was I going to say then?
Don't know. You're in the cave. I'm in the cave.
Just owning it. And it's a bit like gaslighting, but that's what I was going to say. So like, and it is like, so certainly, again, we do all work slightly differently. So I can just say how I work. And I ask you some information, but I don't rummage through it. Would you agree?
Yeah,
you know,
100%,
we're just trying to get the facts. I'm quite black and white with it.
I was going to say you're quite detached from it, really. You're not interested in the why or what you think about it or how it makes you feel. You're not really, you're not.
Yeah, I mean a little bit, but I try and get the
hard.
facts.
No, she's not.
Well, I am a little bit, but you know, I just
think
try
you
and
have
get
to
the
be
facts
because people are presenting with something that's making them anxious. You know.
Well, absolutely, and actually coming from it from a logical, rational point when you're in a not a rational state, sort of helps people look at it from a different point of view as well. But it's not like when you go to counselling, you sort of have to rummage through it all. And over and over again, and it gets you all upset. It's almost like the hard work's done in trance, which, as Karen's just said, is a safe place. You know, and generally you come out there feeling better. Occasionally we can rummage something up, but that's okay. We're close to getting it if that happens. But generally people come out feeling lighter and brighter and moving towards how they want to be.
Yeah, and I think it is important because, I mean, big advocate for counselling myself, but I think as with everything, there shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone because counselling really worked for me. I found it really, really beneficial.
I think a lot of
go and think, not for me, it wasn't for me, it didn't work, and then you feel a bit stuck because what's the other?
I get a lot of people that have been to counselling and CBT. So obviously I get the people that it hasn't worked for, you know, and often they will say, I found it useful. I understand myself. But I still feel
I know what you're going to say next.
I still feel the same. I've still got that same problem. You know, I understand it all a bit more. But I've still got that feeling. And And hypnotherapy deals with that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I hope to get to. I want to leave you, and sometimes people don't even know. Like, I didn't know that I was an angry, frustrated person and needed to be calmer. Mm-hmm. Luckily enough, I went for weight loss. Otherwise, I would have never have got there, probably.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that because it was my norm. Sort of how
I was going to ask, so do you think that you managed to start to unpick that through hypnotherapy, or do you think it was like an amalgamation of things?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say I had to unpick it.
Mm-hmm.
I just started being calmer. And that, the thing with hypnotherapy is I would say it's not hard work. You go away and you just naturally start dealing with situations that maybe you've been struggling with in a more positive way. It's not like hard work.
So my example of that, which is astounding, and I think poor old Eleanor gets this all the time, is mine was about my glasses.
Yeah.
And I went to the opticians. It was great. Got all my glasses, spent loads of money. And then we were on holiday in Tenerife, and I hate heights. And Mike's Mr. Bear Grylls, who's my husband. And we always go a shortcut or somewhere that looks interesting, and it's always lethal. And I went and thought, oh my God, we're about this far away from the edge. And on the way over, I was like, Mike's going, look over there, they're camping. It's wild camping. And then I just had a word with myself, not in any bad way or anything. I thought, what are you doing? And on the way back, I was like a different person. I didn't have to talk to myself a lot and it's amazing the things that you look back on and think, oh, I'm doing that differently now.
Yeah. I can do that now. Yeah, it's great. And you don't even, and often people would have that situation, not even have the fear before, and it will only be afterwards they thought, oh, I went and did that. And actually it was all right.
Terrified.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Yeah. No. Well, to be fair, heights are not my best thing. I probably need to deal with that. But actually,
heights on a cliff edge, Lisa. Heights on a cliff edge.
It's when people sleep in those tents on the cliff edge.
That's
what is that all about?
What is that about?
That's what I'm saying. Look, it's perfect. This is what rational people say to you, though, isn't it? It's perfectly safe, Karen. They're camping there, and you think,
yes,
I don't care.
Heights is an interesting one though, because you often feel that you're being pulled over the edge if you've got a problem with heights. So Mike wouldn't. He'd just stand in his own space, wouldn't he? But you're almost like, so if you can just stop in that moment and you sort of feel that bit going round and just say, hang on, I'm going to stop that circle, and you start having it back and pulling you back, it can make a big difference. That's a little tip next time.
You, Eleanor.
You are?
That'll help you. Remember, we went up the Eiffel Tower.
So. Well, no, it's weird that you say that, because I was just going to say I had hypnotherapy ages ago now, and so I don't necessarily. I've never had a fear of heights because, like, aeroplanes not a problem. Like, I had a fear of unsafe structures at height, if that makes sense. Yes. So I get that. What you're saying is, like, it makes sense to me, because I just was always like, the Eiffel Tower, I was like, but there's holes and we could fall, and like, or, too close to like the edge, and you think, well, this cliff could crumble at any second. And it was, that one where you sort of like go through and like pause and scramble it, and like and I swear to God, I've never really thought about it ever again since.
Yeah.
Like, I think I could go on the Eiffel Tower now, and I think I'd have a pleasant experience.
Yeah. Really interesting. Yeah.
And
I'm not willing to try it out, but yeah.
Well, but the fact, because again, our imagination is really powerful. So imagination is almost as good as reality.
Yeah.
So if we've got a fear of something, we're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to fall, oh my God, I'm going to fall off that. I'm going to fall off that, like you build up to it. You've told your brain 30, 50 times, maybe a lot more, that you've fallen off and you've died.
We're going to die over here.
Yeah, you've died. So, your brain's rightfully stepping in, trying to keep you safe. So again, like now, even just by thinking, oh, do you know what? I think I could just go up the Eiffel Tower. You've just told your brain that you've been up the Eiffel Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And so that in itself is really powerful. So you're starting to form a different pattern. And when you've got a fear, you can't even think about it really, because you struggle. Yeah. So, it's just, I think it's incredible. I really do. I think like from my first client that had all those panic attacks, I do what I do and I talk, but I still I'm absolutely amazed at the change. And when people change, oh, it's so amazing.
It must be amazing.
Oh,
I'm going to say, like, we obviously we work with women in every workplace. Why do you think hypnotherapy isn't a I'm going to use the word credible or thought of solution?
Because I think it just hasn't got the science behind it. It's starting to get there now, because it hasn't got the money behind it to bring the science in there. Somebody was talking about maybe, you know, like our organizations don't seem to put it out. I mean, incredibly, again, you know, they're up there compared to me, but there's a lady called Nicole in Switzerland. So one of my last training sessions, I always go on training sessions and learn more and get different ideas and stuff. But she came on, and she's in a medical situation.
Right.
And she works in the medical hospital. I'm not quite sure how, whether she's training people with hypnotherapy alongside the medical practice, but she was showing us videos of one of her, and she did say, you know, they're one of my students, they know sort of self-hypnosis quite well and everything, but they had a mole that was cancerous here, and it had to be removed, and they were allergic to the anaesthetic. So they said to her, can you put me under hypnotherapy to have this operation? And I think they did have a anaesthetist outside just in case.
Just in case,
Just in case.
In case of the screams.
But literally, I mean, you couldn't watch the video really, because they were cutting a bit of skin out of here to put over there where they'd removed the mole, and then they were sort of sewing it all up. All done via hypnotherapy. Because our mind is really powerful, and that's why we've got to use it. If I saw you in person, I would show you. So when you see anybody, you can do it with Mike later on. So if you get someone to put their hand out in front of you, and you just resist it, so you probably can't do it on yourself. But if you get them to resist you, and then you get them to resist you, you know, push down quite hard and get them to resist you, and then get them to resist you saying, I can, and they almost just get a bit stronger. And then you get them to say, I can't, and then they just go.
Yeah.
Like
what's that called? That's got a name.
Kinesiology, is it? Kinesiology?
No, well, yeah, it's part of it, but it's like, it's got a name, and I'm not going to get there, so we'll move swiftly on.
But it does really show you the power of, you know, when people go on, because everybody gets really fed up of being positive, don't you? And they think it's all a load of rubbish, and I would have done back then, you know. But that really shows you the power. You know, as soon as you say I can't, it takes everything out.
I just think that, there's like such a narrative. So if I think about what Ellie and I are trying to do with Women of Our Time, there's such an overriding strong narrative in the patriarchal system of work.
Yes.
And that's almost the equivalent of the I can't. And like, you can send, like, one of the things we're trying to challenge is traditional ways of helping women. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them, but mentoring, you know, leadership programs and all that. And they've shown to have very little impact. Because this overriding system is like...
But I think maybe mentoring, if you're having mentoring, it's like coaching, isn't it? See, again, I don't really know how people... Obviously, I work with hypnotherapy, so I've got trance, which is like... But if you've got mentoring and you want to do what you're told, but you're not... for some reason, you know, maybe you're just not brave enough, because often they tell you to do stuff and you think, and you know, then that's where hypnotherapy comes in. So I don't think it's the problem with mentoring, but if you're not getting there, that's because you've got some
analogy about counselling.
Yeah.
No, 100%, because if you think about commercialism in this world, if you could like invest like 500 quid in hypnotherapy to get that productivity, aspiration, well-being, instead of sending someone on a £10,000 MBA program, I just think it's interesting for us all to think about, isn't it? How do you start to connect this system? Because what's your ambitions for your business, Lisa? So you decided one day you'd had enough of the police place, and then you started off on your journey, and here you are now. What do you want to be doing with your business?
Well, I just love what I need to do. So I probably, again, you know, this is maybe where you need mentorshipping and stuff coming in. I am at a point now where I'm really busy. I've got a couple of months waiting list, and maybe I need to change it up a bit. And again, that's being brave enough to let go of what's, and go to that next level. I always think, Adam Peaty in his swimming, he was really brave, because although he was at the top of the game, he still went and undid his stroke and did something new with his stroke. I think he changed his kick or something. And that's really brave, isn't it? Knowing that you want to get to the next level, and you've almost got to come back a bit to be able to go forward.
Yeah.
So I just really love just learning new things. I've actually just recently done some EFT training, which is tapping.
Nice. Yeah.
And again, I'm just so terrible, aren't I? Because I would have thought that was a load of rubbish,
We're all believers in the tapping. I think it's interesting, believers. I think that tapping and things like that work when you're in the place for it to work.
It's
not when you're in the middle of a
I'll
panic.
tell you, I've used it in my room, and it is so powerful.
Yeah.
The people, and again, it's sort of come in, the people that I've almost got a little bit stuck with. And then I said, let's just try this. Wow.
Yeah.
It is really powerful. And again, that's like, really? It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and I quite like, and again, going back to people doing sort of counselling and therapies, like, I don't believe you should have to get up in the morning and meditate every morning. I believe you should be able to get
I
up
agree.
and get on
I
with
haven't got
life.
enough time.
No, if you like it, if it's like going to a yoga class and you really like it and everything, and it enhances your life, that's right. But you shouldn't have to. And if you have to, then something's not quite right. And we need to change that. Client recently, doing all sorts of therapies. My goodness, she came for first session, and because I don't really, I just say it as it is, and I said, oh, that's a lot of. And again, if you're like every day going to some counselling or going off
like
somewhere else to do this or something,
yeah.
well, you're all just thinking about, you're just in your problem the whole time.
Yeah.
And we need to take you out of your problem. We need to allow you a chance to relax and just get on, and then realise, like we were saying about, actually, I was all right then.
Yeah.
In
Where
hindsight.
do you think hypnotherapy's next big opportunity is? Where,
I think we just need to get out there. There was a really good scientific study where we came out on top of treating IBS. And also we need, and also really with functional neurological disorders, FND. If you go to the doctors and they have not given you an answer, you sort of perplex them a little bit. And, you get a diagnosis of fibromyalgia or some functional neurological disorder. We can help you. It will be
terrible. It's a diagnosis that means, I don't mean means nothing. I don't mean it patronisingly.
No.
It's just like a label to say that to people with no help.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And the trouble is, and you
like
get it is a label.
Done.
So I had a lady with ME, a lovely lady, and she came because, again, she just couldn't sleep and her head wouldn't quieten down, because that's what I do, is I quieten your head down, really. And she got ME, and she was going, and then the trouble is, they buy in to what the doctors tell them. Then they go into these support groups, and it's always a competition of who's worse. Yeah. And then I've got that, and I've got that. Oh yeah, and sorry, I was being a bit, and actually I was saying, we could get rid of this. You can be all right. And then, often it's a character type, or again, some sort of trauma from childhood. And suddenly she's enjoying life again. Yeah. She's actually able to do what she never believed she could do. But and again, that's when clients are a little bit harder, because I had to coach her out of there's nothing you can do for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can. So fibromyalgia, FND, I had a client once that had, she came for something completely different. She had seizures, and they would last, well, she would have 10, they wouldn't last, but she would have like 10 seizures a day. She was under a neurologist. She was on high medication. And during our process, a bit like me and my weight loss, and I just generally calmed down and stuff, she wasn't having seizures anymore, and she came off her medication.
Nice.
And suddenly she can start getting her life back. And then you get the trouble, and there is somebody was saying, you know, people get signed off work, and there's some study done. If you get signed off for a week, you're 50% likely to get back into work. If you're signed off for longer, then it's like 75%. You know, there's this real struggle. And of course, once you get signed off, you just sat, not doing a lot, with your own trouble. You've got nothing to take your mind off it. So you're just ruminating on that problem over and over again. And then when it comes back to filling up that stress bucket, you know, what if this happens? Oh, I feel like this. And I mean, we can all, I mean, I just decided, so I ride my bike quite a lot and do a lot of biking. And I go out on a Wednesday usually, and we usually do between 50 and 70 miles on a Wednesday. And I can actually guarantee you every morning before I go out, and I'm supposed to be positive, so I'm sorry about this, but like, I'm thinking, oh, I'm a bit tired. Oh, my legs are not going to work today. Oh, and I just have to say, just get out of the door and just try. And of course, once you start going, you get into it and it's all good. And you're always really pleased when you come back in.
Yeah.
No, it's really, sorry, I've lost the plot there. Sorry, I fell off the chair. No, it is really interesting.
So, and I love the word. A lot of people don't like the word try. They say it's a weak, and maybe it depends on the person. But I love the word just try, because when you try, you often get there. And you know, when people say, well, you should say I can, but if you've never done something, you don't know whether you can.
You don't know that.
You don't know that. So how can you say I can? You know, so I like to say,
somebody decided it would make a good image where you cut the N and the T.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's many ridiculous things, but say I can.
Like, and if you've never done it, and it is a bit tough, like I couldn't say I can qualify for my GB thing. I said I would try, but I meant I would try. So to me, try is a strong word, and I was going to give it my all. No, but I couldn't say I can.
I think it makes it achievable as well, doesn't it? Because that I can, and you're thinking, I actually haven't got a clue whether I can do this.
Yeah.
But you know you can try. So like it becomes
you can try,
a bit more achievable.
And there's a small chance. And maybe then it's all right if you don't quite get there. But then you can try again, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least you've had a go, and you can try. And again, mindset is so powerful. Like, again, I got another friend. I often talk about my other friend, and she's amazing. She's a cyclist. She does like really long miles. So she's like cycles like 2,500 kilometers.
70 miles.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think that's when you said it. I thought, right, okay.
Yeah, she sleeps like a little bivvy on this on the side of the road, but she was in an event, and in one of these really long events, going downhill at night, and she was taken out by a wild boar. She landed on her face. She scraped most of her face off. She broke her neck. She broke 3 vertebrae. She had a massive hematoma. I think she lay there for about 2 hours before she was found. Lucky enough, the person who found her was a paramedic.
Oh, that was lucky.
Anyway, she's in Spain now, so she's one of my friends. There's a film done on her actually, and so she messaged me in about 5 days in, and she could just about message.
Yeah.
And like, she's being told, you've got to prepare yourself, Anna, just in case you're going to be in a wheelchair. Well, how does that help you? Why would you prepare yourself to be in a wheelchair? So when you're in we don't know whether she's going to be in a wheelchair. I didn't know whether she's going to be in a wheelchair. I said, Anna, I don't care whether you've got 1% chance. And I mean, obviously she's a feisty character. But that's what we work on. When you're talking to me, we're working on you getting better. And of course, if you believe that you can, if you try and you think that you can get through it, then you start doing everything to help you. I mean, we would have conversations and she would say, you know, the physio hasn't come in today, but it's okay. I did the exercises myself. If you didn't believe you were going to get better and you're going to be in a wheelchair, why would you bother?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's powerful. And she's incredible. I reckon within 6 weeks, she walked out of the hospital. She had a neck brace on. She did look a bit like a monkey. There's a picture of her going around the wheelie door in the hospital. Within 2 months, she was on her turbo. Within 3 months, I think she had ridden around the block. And within 4 months, she had done a 100-mile ride. you know.
Oh my God, I can't even think about doing 100-mile anything.
And well, then within a year, she was back in the same event, which there's a film of her doing. It's called Descent. It's a Rafa film on Netflix. Okay. But she didn't actually quite finish it, but she cycled 9 days on the trot. And then the following year, she went and did it and came in the top 10. That's awesome. So
that is incredible.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And she does have a few issues. You know, she has
well, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I think you aim for the best always. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important, because one of the real main purposes of this podcast was about saying not everybody needs to be an Anna and have that wild boar attack you. But if you have Anna's mindset and attitude, and then ordinary days, normal women, like, we can achieve great things. And I think it's a really good way of contextualizing it, because actually it isn't really about Anna and the wild boar and the 100 miles. It's about Anna wanting to get better. And I think that's really important for people that are listening, that it doesn't have to be an extreme trauma. It's just to get up and tell someone that they're bullying you, or give someone some feedback, or you know, like go to the opticians. So, and I think, and again, it's all
magical. Like in what we want. And often we go back to, you know, when we were a child. So I, you know, I've done some of my sporting events. I've done that. I've done a couple of Ironmans and things now as well. And when I was little, I would have thought those people were dead cool. Now, you don't have to think they're cool, and that's fine, and it's not your thing. But I did, and my friend Debs, who persuaded me to do the Perth thing, actually, she did an Ironman, and I remember thinking, my God, she is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And then you start getting you there. And so I was always inspired by those sort of people. Sporting achievements sort of resonate with me. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, God, aren't they amazing? And then suddenly you find yourself getting there. You know, my father-in-law used to run marathons, and he used to come around and we'd say, how far have you run today? Oh, just an easy 5 today. And we think, an easy 5? Like, I can't even run a mile. And then we found ourselves just saying, oh yeah, I've just gone out for an easy 5 today. You know, I mean, I'm never that fast, but it's like, it's incredible what you can achieve if you want to. So often it's looking for those things that you found inspiring when you were younger. Yeah. And actually, what if you could just do a little bit of it, you know? And then of course you do a little bit, and you can do a little bit more. Yeah. And then you can do a little bit more, and then suddenly maybe you can achieve it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let's try.
No, definitely.
Let's go for it. Let's solve world ailments.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we are coming up to, we've just passed an hour actually. Yeah. So we're running out of time. Is there anything else that you think, oh God, I wish I'd spoken about this?
No, I just say, like, hypnotherapy is just incredible. You know, usually people come for 6 to 8 sessions. Some people do have more, some people have less. And the idea is you come and you are then good to go. Occasionally people pop back for an odd session, but generally you're good to go. And it is that thing of, you want to do something, but you can't. Or, you know, if you have got some sort of FND or fibromyalgia or something like that, the chances are there's some sort of trauma going on from your past, and we can release that, and it can make a massive difference. So just, it's really powerful. Just try it. And again, I always say to people, just come and have one session, you know, and see how you feel. And from there, I mean, I don't sign people up to packages. I just go from one session to the other session, because I don't know how long it's going to take you.
Yeah.
You know, we've got an idea, and I can give you an average, but some people are less and some people are more. So you are in control of that.
Yeah. And we will put all of your details in the places in which it needs to go, so that people can find you as well. Perfect. So the last and final question then that we ask to everybody, if you had to pick a song to be the theme song for your life, whether that be your overall life or just for the time being, which song would it be?
So I'm not hugely musical, to be fair, and into music. But I would, sorry, it's going to be so strange, but I would have Eye of the Tiger. And again, because it's a tough, But Lala, just to give you a little story. So when I did my Ironman, so doing an Ironman, it's all about crossing the finishing line and them saying, Lisa Cartledge, you are an Ironman. So you sort of dream of those words being called. And as I was coming up the sort of finishing funnel, do you know what they played? You know, normally you want something like Eye of the Tiger and that, don't you?
Do, yeah.
I had Baby Shark.
Oh.
It's so not me. And it was this.
It's so wrong as well.
How is that even on the playlist?
How? I cannot tell you my disappointment on that.
Oh my God, that is terrible.
So yeah. So like I always, you know, that's my imagination.
In your head,
you are an Iron Man with the Eye of the Tiger playing. So that's where I would go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be repainting that in my head as well. That's insane.
And I sort of quite like that. It's the Rocky movies, isn't it? I'm showing my age now, but it is just that determination, that sort of, you know, we can do anything if we really try, if we really want to. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you do, then there's a way.
Yeah, you can give it a go. Yeah. Definitely. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I think it has been. I've really enjoyed myself, so thank you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's been I've really enjoyed it, so thank you.
Good.
And thank you everyone for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.